When Earth spoke, the galaxy trembled. For most of galactic history, humanity considered irrelevant, a loud species, a divided species, a species that fought itself more than it fought the void. The Galactic Dominion had watched Earth for centuries. They catalogued it as environmentally unstable, politically fractured, emotionally volatile, technologically unpredictable. They were wrong. Earth not divided. Earth was sharpening itself. Every collapse, every mistake. Humanity survived them all, and survival was the only lesson that mattered. When humans finally breached subspace and stepped beyond their solar cradle, they did not arrive peacefully. They arrived cautiously, quietly. But the galaxy does not respect caution. It respects strength, and so strength was demanded. The first attack came without warning. A Dominion patrol fleet entered the outer Sol system under the pretense of inspection. They did not announce hostility. They did not issue demands. They simply destroyed Mars Colony 6. 7 million civilians, gone in 9 seconds. The Dominion called it containment measure. Earth called it something else. The response was not immediate. That was the first mistake the galaxy made. They thought humanity was stunned. They thought humanity was afraid. They mistook silence for weakness. In Earth, calculating, within 48 hours, every human government ceased to exist, not through collapse, through unification. The United Earth War Directive was activated, a protocol older than spaceflight. A contingency written during humanity's darkest nuclear standoffs. If an external force ever threatened extinction, all sovereignty dissolves, all forces mobilize, all morality calibrates. Humanity becomes one weapon, and that weapon had just been unsheathed. Factories that once built transport ships began constructing war dreadnoughts. Civilian AI networks were repurposed into combat predictive systems. Asteroid mining colonies were converted into kinetic mass accelerators. And deep beneath the Pacific Ocean, something ancient was awakened. Project Black Horizon. The Dominion never heard of it. They would soon. 3 weeks after Mars Colony 6 was erased, a single transmission reached every major power in the galaxy. It did not Earth. It came from the ruins of the destroyed colony. The Dominion had left debris. Human engineers had left something else. It activated, and across the stars, a human voice spoke. Calm, cold, unshaking. You were observed. That was all. No threats, no demands. Just confirmation. You were observed. Then retaliation began. Dominion mining world, Archeron 9. Population, 3.2 billion. At precisely 4:17 local time, the planet's star flared. Not naturally, artificially. Solar amplification warheads detonated within its corona. The Dominion scientists had theorized such weapons were impossible. Humanity, 12. Archeron 9 was reduced to plasma. No warning, no negotiation, no mercy. The Galactic Dominion convened immediately. Emergency assembly, military escalation, fleet mobilization. They believed humanity had overreacted. They believed could be crushed. After all, the Dominion controlled 12,000 systems. Humanity controlled one. Numbers, historically, mattered. But humanity had learned something the Dominion never had. Numbers do not win wars. Resolve does. When the Dominion's primary assault fleet entered the Sol system, they expected resistance. They did not annihilation. Hidden within the asteroid belt were gravitational mines. Undetectable. When they collapsed localized space-time. Entire Dominion cruisers folded inward like crushed metal insects. Panic spread across their formations. Human dreadnought emerged. Not sleek, not elegant, but brutal. Angular hulls layered with ablative armor. Rail cannons the size of cities. Engines burning so violently they distorted starlight. These were not exploration vessels. They were execution platforms. The Battle of Sol lasted 6 hours. 80% of the Dominion fleet was debris. The remaining 20% fled. Human ships didn't pursue. That was intentional. The survivors were allowed to return. They were meant to tell the story. And across Dominion space, fear to spread. Humans did not fight like other species. They did not aim to disable. They did not seek surrender. They targeted infrastructure, energy grids, military academies. They dismantled the Dominion's ability to wage war systematically, ruthlessly, intelligently. Then Earth did something unexpected. It went dark. All human colonies ceased external communication. All fleets vanished from known sensor ranges. Trade stopped. Diplomacy ended. Silence returned. But time, it was different. This was not the silence of weakness. This was the silence before impact. 3 later, every major Dominion military hub received a synchronized transmission. No signal origin, no traceable source, just projection. A single human figure standing in front of a star field. Behind him, Dominion burned. His voice steady. You attacked civilians. Pause. You mistook restraint for incapability. Another pause. That error corrected. Then came the words that would echo through history. If you assemble another fleet, if you enter another system, if you so much as target one of our signals. The starfield behind him shifted. 12 Dominion core worlds highlighted in red. We will not respond with fleets. A beat. We will respond with extinction. Transmission ended. The Dominion believed it was a bluff. Because deep in Earth's oceans, Project Black Horizon had completed activation. Humanity had studied Dominion hyperspace lanes, embedded microscopic singularity seeds within them. If entire travel corridors would collapse, cutting off supply lines, stranding worlds, destroying economies, not through invasion, through suffocation. Humanity had prepared to burn the galaxy's highways, and they were willing to do it. For the first time in recorded galactic history, the Dominion hesitated. They had fought dozens of species. They had conquered hundreds. Had they encountered a civilization willing to destroy the board rather than lose the game? Humanity was not fighting for territory. It was fighting for survival. And a species fighting for survival has. Then the unthinkable happened. A rogue commander, seeking glory, launched a small strike on a human agricultural moon near Proxima. Minimal casualties. Strategically insignificant. Politically catastrophic. Because Earth had made a promise, and humanity does not forget its promises. Within 20 minutes, Black Horizon activated. Not fully. Not yet. Just enough. One Dominion world, Velcris Prime, lost access to hyperspace permanently. Its trade collapsed. Its orbital stations drifted powerless. Its defense fleets stranded without fuel shipments. Billions trapped, not dead. Humanity broadcast a final message. The galaxy understood the implication. Time. It would not be. And for the first time in millennia, the Dominion sued for ceasefire, not surrender. Ceasefire. Because they no longer knew what humanity might do next. But Earth, not finished. Because the goal was never survival. Was deterrence. And deterrence requires demonstration. Human fleets began appearing in neutral territories. Not attacking, not occupying, just watching. Silent guardians. Silent threats. Other species began reconsidering alliances. Some began approaching Earth quietly, because if the Dominion could bleed, perhaps the hierarchy of the galaxy was not as permanent as once believed. Humanity had not just fought, it had shifted the balance of power, and the galaxy felt it in its trade routes, in its politics, in its fear. But far beyond Dominion space, something older had been watching, something that did not fear humanity, something that had extinguished civilizations long before the Dominion existed, and it had noticed broadcast. It had noticed Black Horizon. It had noticed the ruthlessness, and it had to move, because humanity was no longer just a threat. It was a variable, and ancient powers do not tolerate variables. Earth thought had a warning. Had But warnings travel both directions, and in the deep dark between galaxies, something answered. The galaxy believed it understood fear. It did. Not until something older than empires began to move. Beyond dominion borders, beyond mapped hyperspace lanes, beyond even the oldest trade routes, there existed a region known only as the Quiet Expanse. No signals emerged from it. No probes returned from it. Entire exploratory civilizations had vanished there over the last 2 million years. The Dominion, it cursed. The smaller species called it forbidden. Humanity, it uncharted opportunity. And that curiosity had not gone unnoticed. The first sign was subtle. 3 Dominion observation posts near the expanse went dark. No distress calls, no debris, no energy spikes. They simply stopped existing. The Dominion assumed malfunction. They were wrong. Then human deep space arrays detected something impossible. A gravitational distortion wave, not moving through space, but reshaping it. It, slow, precise. Like a predator adjusting its environment before striking. Earth's High Command ran simulations. There were no matches. No known technology operated on that scale. No known civilization possessed that level of control. The distortion reached a Dominion frontier world. Tarsus Belt. Population, 900 million. Every structure on the planet remained intact. Every city stood. Every ocean shimmered. But life form was gone. Not vaporized. Not destroyed. Removed. As if erased from reality. The galaxy panicked. For the first time, the Dominion was not the apex power in the room. They requested emergency with Earth, the same species they had tried to exterminate months earlier. History, cruel like that. Humanity agreed to the meeting, not out of mercy, out of strategy. The summit was held in neutral space, aboard a human warship, not a diplomatic station. That detail mattered. Dominion officials arrived escorted by what remained of their elite guard. They were greeted by silence. No ceremony, no pleasantries. Just a projection of Earth's war directive emblem burning slowly behind the human representative. A woman, Admiral Elara Vance. Her voice carried no emotion. You are no longer the greatest threat in this galaxy. The Dominion envoy attempted to regain authority. You have no leverage, she interrupted calmly. A pause. You are requesting survival. Silence. Humanity had already analyzed the Quiet Expanse anomaly. It was random. It was not chaotic. It was schematic. It was mapping, studying. The erased Dominion world had been chosen deliberately. Demonstration. Just as the Dominion had once destroyed Mars Colony 6 as a demonstration. The symmetry was not lost on Earth. There was almost something poetic about it. Human intelligence, the unknown force. The architects, not because, but because they redesigned. Entire sectors of space near the expanse showed signs of cosmic restructuring. Stars repositioned, asteroid belts reorganized, dark matter concentrations altered. This was engineering, and humanity had just become visible to it. Because of Black Horizon, because of the broadcast, because Earth had dared to manipulate hyperspace corridors, humanity had changed the galactic equation, and something that controlled far larger equations had noticed. The architects made contact, not through ships, not through language, through physics. Every major civilization's sky shifted. Stars flickered in synchronized patterns, mathematical sequences encoded in stellar light. The message translated universally, instillated. A pause in the flickering, correction. Then, coordinates. Earth's. The Dominion fleet mobilized defensively around their own territory. They did not rush to protect humanity. They created. Self-preservation, still their highest law. Humanity, retreat. It fortified. Project Black Horizon was expanded. Originally designed to cripple hyperspace lanes, it was modified, enhanced, weaponized beyond its original intent. If the architects manipulated space itself, humanity would poison it. Singularity seeds were no longer planted only in Dominion corridors. They were seeded along the edge of the quiet expanse. Humanity prepared to collapse entire sectors, if necessary. Scorched doctrine. If existence itself threatened Earth, Earth would make existence pensive. Then the first architect construct appeared. It did not resemble a ship. It resembled a fracture. A tear in reality shaped like a geometric wound. It drifted into a human outer colony system. No weapons fired. No emitted. The system's star began to dim. Its fusion slowed, as if something were siphoning its process at a fundamental level. Humans evacuated civilians immediately. War fleets assembled. They fired everything. Rail cannons, plasma lances, relativistic mills. The construct did not dodge. It did not shield. It ignored. Weapons passed through distorted space around it. Ineffective. Human losses mounted as gravitational distortions tore apart attacking vessels. Admiral Vance made a decision that would define humanity's place in history. She activated Black Horizon at full capacity in that system. Without evacuation clearance for the remaining military vessels, hyperspace collapsed locally. Singularity seeds detonated in chain reaction. The system folded inward. Star, planets, fleets, all consumed in controlled spatial implosion. The architect, Druct, was destroyed. For the architects had lost something. Humanity. 3 million military personnel gone. Sacrificed intentionally. There was celebration. Only cold acknowledgement. Across the galaxy, civilizations realized something terrifying. Humanity was not merely ruthless against enemies. It was ruthless against itself. If destruction achieved the objective, it was acceptable. That kind of species does not negotiate from fear. It negotiates from inevitability. The architects responded. More constructs emerged from the quiet expanse, not dozens. The sky in distant systems fractured. Stars, again, escalation, species classification, hazardous, erasurized. Humanity been labeled, and once labeled. The architects did not change course. The Dominion turned to Earth, this time without pride, without posturing. Their envoys trembled. We propose alliance. Admiral Vance studied him. You propose survival. Yes. A long silence. Then you will follow human command structures during engagement. The Dominion hesitated. That hesitation lasted 3 seconds. The hierarchy of the galaxy had officially inverted. Humanity began drafting something unprecedented. Not a fleet, not weapon. A doctrine. Total denial. If the architects manipulated space, humanity would destabilize it everywhere. Black Horizon would no longer be reactive. It would become proactive. Hyperspace corridors would collapse galaxy-wide. Travel would slow to pre-fuel methods. Trade shatter. Empires shrink. But the architect's mobility advantage would vanish. It was madness. It would cripple civilization. It would send the galaxy into centuries of regression, and humanity was willing to do it. Because extinction, worse. When word of the doctrine leaked, smaller panicked. Some begged humanity to reconsider. Others threatened retaliation. Earth responded with a simple broadcast. Survival negotiable. There was no emotion in the message. No. Just fact. The architects arrived in Seoul. Not one construct. Not a formation. They did not attack immediately. They orbited at the edge of the system. Calc. And for the first time since Mars Colony 6, humanity felt something unfamiliar. Not anticipation, because Earth had prepared something new, something beyond Black Horizon, something the Dominion did not know about, something the architects could not predict. Deep in Antarctica, under kilometers of reinforced crust, a weapon waited. Project Final Argument. Not singularity, not star killer, but a reality anchor. A device designed to lock local space-time into fixed parameters. to prevent external manipulation, to deny physics itself from being rewritten. It had never been tested, because testing would alter Earth permanently, but testing irrelevant. Activation began. Across the planet, tectonic plates trembled, oceans shifted. The sky above Earth shimmered as if seen through heat. The architects moved. Constructs advanced toward the inner system. Human fleets engaged. Massive losses on both sides. Final argument reached threshold, and Earth did something no species had ever attempted. It declared section of the universe. Snapped. Not conceptually. The architect constructs inside soul froze. Their distortions collapsed. Their manipulation fields failed. For time, they were bound by the same physical laws as everyone else. And human warships were very good at destroying things bound by physical laws. The constructs were obliterated, piece by piece, systematically, ruthlessly, across the galaxy. Stars flickered again, not warning. In recalculation, threat lies. A pause longer than any previous. Containment elevated. Humanity not won, but it had proven something critical. The architects were not gods. They were engineers, and engineers could be countered. Admiral Vance addressed the galaxy once more. We warned you what we would do if attacked. A beat. We did not specify who. Her eyes did not blink. We are not prey. Ended. But deep within the quiet expanse, something shifted. Not a construct, not a fleet. Something central. The architects were not one mind. They were extensions, and the core had now taken direct interest in Earth. The next phase would not be correction. It would be extermination. Humanity would answer it with annihilation. When the stars flickered the third time, the galaxy did not panic. Because now everyone understood something fundamental. This was no longer a war between civilizations. This was a war definitions. The architects did not conquer. They'd invade. They optimized. Humanity had just declared itself an error in the equation of existence. Deep within the quiet expanse, something awakened. Not a construct, not a fleet. A structure the size of a star cluster began to shift. It had engines. It did not travel in space toward it. Gravitational lensing across 12 systems confirmed the impossible. The architects were not emerging from the expanse. The expanse was emerging from them. Entire regions of dark space were artificial, manufactured. And the center of it. Human long-range observatories fed the data into Earth's war simulations. There were no projections showing victory, only delay. But delay was enough. Humanity had never required perfect odds, only sufficient time. Humanity did not possess that, but possessed something else. Sacrifice. A plan formed. Operation Iron Silence. Dominion and human fleets would stage a full frontal assault along the expanse perimeter. Not win. 2. Automated starlifters would destabilize selected suns across abandoned systems, redirecting their output into a synchronized energy cascade. A chain reaction feeding into a superstructure built at the edge of the expanse, a reality sphere. One strike. If there would be second attempt. The began. For the first time, human and Dominion ships fought not for territory, not for revenge, but for time. Architect constructs swarmed by the thousands. Space fractured. Ships were torn apart by gravitational shears. Dominion commanders followed human targeting protocols precisely. Where humans aimed, died. They aimed. Losses mounted. Entire fleets vanished in collapsing micro-singularities. Human casualty projections exceeded anything in recorded history. And they advanced, 'cause behind them, the reality charged. Star energy funneled through engineered wormhole conduits, a lattice of impossible scale forming silently in the dark. The core noticed. Of course, it did. Its expansion accelerated. Construct density tripled. It was trying to break the assault line before activation. Admiral Vance stood on the bridge of Earth's flagship, hull integrity at 43%. Weapon depleted. She did not flinch. Hold the line. Those 3 words echoed across every Allied channel. Hold the line. And did. Dominion carriers rammed constructs intentionally to delay them. Human cruisers detonated reactors at point-blank range to clear pathways. Sacrifice was no longer tactical. It was foundational. At 90% charge, the core changed tactics. It's, again, not in pulses, not in light, directly into neural substrates across human space. A single message. Probability of your extinction reduced if compliance initiated. Humanity and because survival offered by surrender is not survival. It is postponement. 100. The reality activated a beam of light, but of fixed law. It pierced the expanding expanse. Reality hardened along its path. The core convulsed. For the first time, the expanse stopped growing. Constructs froze. Distortion. Spatial manipulations failed. The spear reached the central mass, and the core screamed, not audibly, cosmically. Gravitational waves rippled across thousands of light years. Stars flickered violently. Silence. The expanse halted. Its expansion ceased. The core bound within stabilized parameters, not destroyed. Across the shattered galaxy, systems stabilized. Anomalies diminished. Architect constructs drifted inert. The war pause, not ended. Pause. Human casualty finalized. Unimaginable. Dominion losses. Worse. Interstellar civilization. Fragged. Hyperspace travel. Limited and unstable. The galaxy would never return to what it had been. And was the point. Admiral Vance delivered the final address. We were, for correction, a pause. Defiance. Her, steady. We do not claim victory. Another pause. We claim transmission ended. Deep in the anchored expanse, the core remained. Bound. Studied. Because containment is not elimination, and eternity is patient. But the galaxy had learned something irreversible. Humanity was not simply war-driven, not simply ruthless. It was adaptive. It would burn the stars before kneeling. It would fracture empires before surrendering. It would sacrifice millions to ensure billions endured. When spoke, the galaxy did not tremble because of threats. It trembled. Humanity meant them. And in the quiet aftermath of war, one truth settled across the stars. If the universe itself demanded submission, humanity did not possess that, but possessed something else. Sacrifice. A plan formed. Operation Iron Silence. Dominion and human fleets would stage a full frontal assault along the expanse perimeter. Not win. 2. Automated starlifters would destabilize selected suns across abandoned systems, redirecting their output into a synchronized energy cascade, a chain reaction feeding into a superstructure built at the edge of the expanse, a reality spear. One strike. If there would be second attempt. The began. For the first time, human and Dominion ships fought not for territory, not for revenge, but for time. Architect constructs swarmed by the thousands. Space fractured. Ships were torn apart by gravitational shears. Dominion commanders followed human targeting protocols precisely. They had. Where humans aimed, Syst died. They aimed. Losses mounted. Entire fleets vanished in collapsing micro-singularities. Human casualty projections exceeded anything in recorded history. And they advanced, 'cause behind them, the reality charged. Star energy funneled through engineered wormhole conduits, a lattice of impossible scale forming silently in the dark. The core noticed. Of course, it did. Its expansion accelerated. Construct density tripled. It was trying to break the assault line before activation. Admiral Vance stood on the bridge of Earth's flagship, hull integrity at 43%, weapon depleted. She did not flinch. Hold the line. Those 3 words echoed across every Allied channel. Hold the line. And did. Dominion carriers rammed constructs intentionally to delay them. Human cruisers detonated reactors at point-blank range to clear pathways. Sacrifice was no longer tactical. It was foundational. At 90% charge, the core changed tactics. It's, again, not in pulses, not in light, directly into neural substrates across human space. A single message. Probability of your extinction reduced if compliance initiated. Humanity and because survival offered by surrender is not survival. It is postponement. 100. The reality activated a beam of light, but of fixed law. It pierced the expanding expanse. Reality hardened along its path. The core convulsed. For the first time, the expanse stopped growing. Constructs froze. Distortion. Spatial manipulations failed. The spear reached the central mass, and the core screamed, not audibly, cosmically. Gravitational waves rippled across thousands of light years. Stars flickered violently. Silence. The expanse halted. Its expansion ceased. The core bound within stabilized parameters, not destroyed. Across the shattered galaxy, systems stabilized, anomalies diminished. Architect constructs drifted inert. The war paused, not ended. Pause. Human casualty finalized. Unimaginable. Dominion losses. Worse. Interstellar civilization. Fragged. Hyperspace travel. Limited and unstable. The galaxy would never return to what it had been. And was the point. Admiral Vance delivered the final address. We were, for correction, a pause. Defiance. Her, steady. We do not claim victory. Another pause. We claim transmission ended. Deep in the anchored expanse, the core remained. Bound. Studied. Because containment is not elimination, and eternity is patient. But the galaxy had learned something irreversible. Humanity was not simply war-driven, not simply ruthless. It was adaptive. It would burn the stars before kneeling. It would fracture empires before surrendering. It would sacrifice millions to ensure billions endured. When spoke, the galaxy did not tremble because of threats. It trembled. Humanity meant them. And in the quiet aftermath of war, one truth settled across the stars. If the universe itself demanded submission, humanity would declare war on the universe and win enough. War does not always end with explosions. Sometimes it ends with silence, and silence can be heavier than destruction. The reality spear still burned at the edge of the quiet expanse, not visibly, but mathematically, an invisible pillar of enforced law anchoring the core in place. The expansion had stopped. The architects had gone dormant. Constructs drifted inert across fractured sectors. The galaxy survived. But survival is not restoration. Hyperspace remained unstable. Black Horizon's galaxy-wide collapse had done its work. Entire civilizations were isolated. Trade networks shattered. Medical supply chains gone. Dominion space fractured into regional enclaves, each struggling to govern without central authority. For the first time in millennia, no empire ruled the stars, and that vacuum, dangerous. Humanity did not celebrate. There were no victory parades, no monuments erected. Earth declared a state of eternal vigilance. Project Final Argument remained active. Reality anchors embedded across key human systems. Energy demands enormous. Entire fusion arrays on Luna and Europa operated continuously just to maintain stabilization fields. It was a constant reminder. The core, dead. It was waiting. Admiral Alara Vance, aged 10 years in 6 months. She refused retirement. War had not ended. It had shifted. Reports began to surface from outer systems. Architect constructs were not fully inert. Some were adapting to the anchored laws, learning with constraint. Small distortions reappeared at the edge of the expanse. Minor, but growing in complexity. Human scientists reached a disturbing conclusion. The core was studying the anchor, studying humanity. The first human system experienced something unprecedented, not attack, not distortion, communication. A single signal penetrated Soul's defense grid, not through force, through compatibility. It used human mathematical constants, human encoding structures. The message was clear. Adaptation acknowledged. Silence followed. Across Earth's command network, tension spiked. The core was no longer attempting brute correction. It was strategy. Across fractured Dominion sectors, unrest spread. Without centralized hyperspace routes, regional warlords rose, old rivalries reignited, civil conflicts erupted. Humanity had broken the galaxy's spine to stop the architects. Now the body was convulsing. Some Dominion leaders blamed Earth. Privately, publicly, did not dare. But resentment fermented in isolation. Earth, another decision. Intervene and stabilize fractured regions, or focus solely on defense. The core. Resources were finite. The war directive convened again. Admiral Vance's voice was quieter this time. If the galaxy collapses into chaos, she said, the core won't need to attack. Instability will solve the problem for it. Humanity, intervention, not conquest. Human fleets began entering isolated sectors. They brought food, medical knowledge, portable reality anchors, and conditions, compliance, joint stability protocols, shared defense oversight, integrated monitoring grids. The Dominion enclaves accepted, not happily, pragmatically, because no one else had solutions. A new order formed, not empire, a network. Humanity, center, not through alone, but through necessity, and deep within the anchored expanse. The core, again, it began releasing constructs deliberately, small ones, bound by laws, they entered peripheral systems without aggression, observed, woo. The message was implicit. We are learning your constraints and adapting. Human scientists ran simulations. The core would find a way to operate within fixed parameters, not by breaking law, but by mastering it. That realization chilled even the most hardened strategy, because humanity had won through ruthlessness and sacrifice. The core would now respond through patience. Then came the fracture event, without warning. One of the secondary reality anchors in a distant human colony failed, not destroyed. The laws it enforced shifted subtly. Physics, intact, but slightly different. Energy output efficiency dropped by 3%. Entropy fluctuations stabilized unnaturally. It was almost cleaner. The core had attacked. It had improved panic through high command. If the core could rewrite anchors, containment would eventually become assimilation. Humanity would not be erased. It would be optimized, adjusted, reduced into a form compatible with the core's design. Alive, but altered. That fate was acceptable. Admiral Vance authorized the most dangerous project in human history, Project Sovereign Flame. If the core sought to master fixed reality, humanity would create something unfixed, a warship capable of rewriting local laws faster than the core could adapt, not stabilizing, not containing. It would require integrating architect technology salvaged from destroyed constructs. It would require fusing human unpredictability with core-level precision. It would require crossing a line humanity had sworn never to cross, becoming partially what it fought. Construction began in secret near Saturn's orbit. The vessel, silently. Unlike human dreadnoughts, it was smooth, curved, geometric in ways that unsettled even its creators. Its heart was a hybrid core, half hilarity matrix, half architect, resonance engine. If it functioned, Sol itself could destabilize. But humanity had never avoided risk. The core reacted. Construct activity surged, not violent, accelerated. Across the expanse perimeter, distortions became more frequent. It knew something was coming. The Dominion, a mistake. A fractured enclave, fearful of human dominance, attempted to sabotage a Black Horizon node. They believed weakening humanity would rebalance power. The sabotage triggered a localized hyperspace implosion. 2 systems collapsed. Millions. Human response was immediate, ruthless. The responsible enclave lost all access to human support. Reality anchors withdrawn. Trade suspended. Defense grids deactivated. Months. They begged statement. Humanity granted it. At a cost. Full migration. No autonomy. The message clear. In this era, division equals extinction. Project Sovereign Flame completed. The vessel launched. Ceremony did not hope. It resembled inevitability. Admiral Vance personally authorized activation. The ship entered the expanse. Architect constructs converged instantly, but Sovereign Flame did not fire weapons. It shifted parameters. Local space hardened, softened, then stabilized. Constructs attempting distortion found themselves outpaced. The ship not reacting, it was improvising faster than the core's predictive models, because it carried something the core could never fully simulate: human finality. Deep within the expanse, the core directly. A massive structural surge pulsed outward. The anchored trembled. The reality flickered. Containment wavered, and Sovereign Flame pushed forward toward the core itself, not to Across the galaxy, sensors detected an unprecedented event. 2 systems of law colliding. Not energy, principle. Human adaptive chaos versus architect calculated order. The clash radiated gravitational harmonics never before recorded. Stars shuddered, time stretched. Stabilized. Sovereign Flame emerged from the expanse perimeter, damaged. And behind it, the core's expansion ceded slightly, for it had been pressured, not contained. Admiral Vance addressed humanity one final time. "We cannot destroy it," she said, "but neither destroy us. This is not very." Another pause. It is, and was enough. The galaxy entered a new era. Not war. Humanity remained vigilant. The core remained anchored, both adapting, both watching, both aware that the next escalation could shatter everything. But one truth now echoed across every surviving civilization. Humanity was not a temporary variable, not statistical noise, not instability. Humanity, a constant, unpredictable, unyielding, and willing to challenge even the architecture of existence itself. When Earth spoke, the galaxy trembled. When the universe answered, humanity kneel. And in the endless dark between stars, 2 forces studied each other. Move. 50 years is a long time for a human. It is nothing to something that measures existence in stellar life cycles. But 50 years was enough for the galaxy to forget fear. And that was dangerous. The reality spear still burned at the edge of the quiet expanse, invisible, unyielding, holding the core in mathematical confinement. But now, not failing. Because containment is not static, it is conversation, and the core had been speaking for half a century. Admiral Ilara Vance did not live to see this era. She died quietly at 78. No monument, her grave. By her request. Her final recorded message was simple: never assume it has stopped learning. Those words became doctrine. Humanity had transformed. The fractured galaxy of old empires no longer existed. In its place stood the interstellar stability accord. Not empire, not republic, a lattice. Human systems formed its core. Former dominion sectors formed its outer rings. Reality anchors stabilized trade corridors. Limited hyperspace pathways reopened under strict monitoring. The galaxy functioned again, but carefully, always carefully. Children born after the Architect War grew up differently. They did not see humanity as underdog. They saw it as inevitable. They studied the war directive in school. They learned about Black Horizon, about the reality sphere, about sovereign flame, not as legends, as necessities, because survival had become culture. The spear pulsed. Once, across every monitoring station in human space, alarms ignited, not catastrophic, but unfam. A new frequency within the containment field, subtle, intentional. The core was not pushing outward, it was transmitting inward. Deep within the anchored expanse, patterns began forming, not constructs, structures, geometric formations reshaping internal space without breaching containment. Human analysts compared them to neurons forming in a brain. The core was not trying to escape, it was reorganizing, scaling complexity within confinement. It had accepted the cage and begun redesigning itself inside it. Project Sovereign Flame had not remained alone. In the decades since, 3 additional vessels had been constructed, each more refined, each more integrated with architect resonance systems. Human crews volunteered, knowing the risk. Exposure to fluctuating reality fields altered perception. Time felt inconsistent. Dreams, geometric. Some officers resigned after a single tour. Others stayed. Sharper. The second pulse from the spear came exactly 1 year later. Stronger. The message embedded within it decoded across human networks. It achieved panic, not spread. Silence did. Because equilibrium implied parity, not defeat, not containment. And balance can shift. The first visible change appeared in a peripheral system once abandoned during Black Horizon. Its star stabilized beyond predicted lifespan curves. Entropy reduction measured at 0.8%, impossible under natural physics. The core, not attacked. It had optimized from a distance. Whispers began across the accord. If the architects can improve stars,